again. Today I want to talk a little bit about Rob Bell. He stirred quite a bit of controversy recently with the whole heaven and hell thing. It's settling down a little bit now, but at its peak it was getting a lot of evangelicals and even liberal Christians talking, and mostly in defense of the traditional view, but I think it's just good that people are talking about it, talking about hell, talking about is it forever. This whole evangelical conception of salvation and how that relates to us. I'm just glad that people are talking about it. And I haven't read Rob Bell's book yet, Love Wins, but I've already read a handful of books on the subject of heaven and hell and this idea that God might save all. But I have watched his video, his promotional video for Love Wins, and I think it's really good. It has some really good questions to get you interested in the topic. And I just want to go over a few of those today and talk a little bit about him and just this whole idea of reinterpreting hell a little bit. One of the first questions he asks is Gandhi in hell? That's a really good question. Because if Gandhi is in hell, or he's going to hell, then one of the most Christ-like people is going to suffer forever without another chance at forgiveness. And nobody has a problem with the idea of Hitler or somebody going to this place of hell, but when it comes to someone like Gandhi, what do we say about that? And like when it comes to the people that Hitler tortured and killed, according to evangelical Christianity, most of those people are going to hell along with Hitler. Never again another chance at forgiveness. That doesn't make any sense. And I don't think it's about works, but there's a lot of places in the Bible where faith and salvation and works are all interconnected. If you look in like in Matthew 25:31-46, one of the most popular sections about hell, nothing is said about accepting Jesus or accepting certain doctrinal views. It's about giving a cup of water to someone who needed it, or feeding the hungry or caring for the sick, which I'd say would pretty much exemplify the person of Gandhi in a lot of ways and a lot of good things that he tried to do. And the second question that Rob Bell asked in that video is, what is God like? If God is going to send the majority of his creation, his human project, to hell, what does that say about God's character? And that's part of the reason why this whole question of hell and salvation is very important that we at least think about, even though obviously no one can prove what the case actually is. It's very important that we think about it because it impacts God's character. Is God loving if he gives up on the majority of his creation? And is God just for tormenting them infinitely for finite sins? I mean, is God so petty in his love that he would torture someone forever simply because they didn't get the right beliefs about him in this lifetime, which aren't exactly clear in the first place? Another thing that Rob Bell says in that video is that the whole modern conception of hell basically is one of the reasons why lots of people want nothing to do with the faith, the Christian faith. Because it's so contradictory. You got people saying God loves you unconditionally. He has this great love that's greater than anyone's for you, so much as he died for you. But then on the other hand, if you don't believe in that love, if you don't accept that by a certain time, well, then he's going to have to be just and torture you forever, despite the fact that he loves you, and despite the fact that Jesus already paid for all your sin anyway. I mean, there's some disconnect there that theologians have been trying to work through, and not very well, I add, for quite a few centuries. I mean, how can you take seriously a God that says he loves you, but is going to do something like that? And most people say that God won't even give you a second chance after death. Well, what kind of love is that? What kind of love says, after this, I will not forgive you anymore? Does that go inside with Jesus' teaching on forgiving 70 times 7, which is to me, basically just saying that you should never cease to forgive. You should always forgive. There isn't a certain number. There isn't a certain limit to it. Does the modern conception of hell fall in line with many of the Bible's own teachings? Like forgiveness, like love, like mercy, like justice. Is it really just? Is it really righteousness? And is God really so holy that He can't stand to look at sin long enough to cure it? I mean, obviously He did, or He wouldn't have spent time with sinners in the person of Jesus, if you're a believer in the incarnation, and went so far as to die for them because He cared. And a lot of people say that Rob Bell is trying to make the gospel more palatable, like the Martin Bashir interview, if you've watched that. But I don't think he's trying to do that. I think what he's trying to do is uncover a view in the church that has always been in the minority, which a lot of people don't know, and I was a Christian for a long time and didn't know. Rob Bell is trying to take a view that he feels, and I feel, is more sensible in light of many biblical teachings about God. One that says that God will not give up on the majority of humanity, that He will pursue each individual until they accept Him. It's not a forcing, it's a loving pursuit. So in short, I think that Rob Bell's a great guy. I don't know if he's fully universalist or not, but being as I am one, I welcome him to the club. And if he is, and if not, I still am thankful for his questions and how it's affected the Christian community in the way that it has. And hopefully it's people like him that'll really help to start a sort of new reformation in Christianity that is able to rethink ideas, relook at old issues that many Christians think were solved hundreds or thousands of years ago, and maybe look for better, more sensible, and maybe even more biblical alternatives.